Welcome to the Chamber Vibes podcast with your host, Brittany Timmons, the Greater Guthrie Chamber of Commerce CEO and President. In this podcast, you will hear from local guests who will discuss topics such as leadership, small business, and our vibrant community. You'll also hear success stories and tips from amazing local businesses, dive into important news, meet community leaders, and find out how you can get involved in our community. From the Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful and historic downtown Guthrie, America, here is Brittany Timmons.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of Chamber Vibes. I am hanging out with my friends from the Logan County EDC. And thanks to you gals, I now don't say LCEDC because that's a lot.
It's too confusing.
It's too confusing. Yes. So I have KelliAn and Erica here with me today. It looks like, we are hanging out in beautiful downtown Guthrie, but we are in the air conditioning. So although it looks like we are not, we are, because today is supposed to be, I think, the hottest May day on record is what I saw. So we had to turn the AC on at the chamber too. We had to break down. So summer is coming. It's here. So anyway, good to be back in the studio. Good to have you gals on. I'm excited to talk about what all you do and just dive in. So Logan County EDC, what that means is the Logan County Economic Development Council.
You got it.
Yes. Okay, I got it. We're not going to ask you to repeat all that. So yeah, Logan County EDC is the abbreviation. So what is the Logan County EDC?
I was going to say, I think I literally got it wrong this morning when I was making an announcement. I said council twice.
Oh yeah.
If you just get it close.
It's a long name. So yeah, so tell us what this organization is.
Yeah, well, just like it says, we're all about economic development for Logan County. And we work towards a variety of goals that help us accomplish that. We support businesses and rural businesses, which is all of us in the county. We have a loan program for rural businesses. We have two. We can talk about our new one here pretty soon that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
We also provide grant support for helping businesses apply for certain types of grants. In some cases, we apply for them, and we bring in grant money to help purchase equipment or things that would make a difference in employment and that business achieving their strategic plan much sooner. We've been working with Langston University. We're real excited about that. We have our first intern at the office right now.
Oh, that's exciting!
Yeah, he's finishing up his internship, but that is we finally, after a while, have worked on an internship program that we got to launch this year. We just turned in some content for Langston on they're putting together a micro-credentialing program for business students. And so now there will be examples of business development that has occurred in the county integrated with that broader curriculum. So we kind of do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
We meet with companies that might be considering to come in the area. We're just a support for the municipalities. Like, we don't take a lead on that. But a lot of times we might have some resources and some support that we can give. So we love working, of course, with Eddie and Shonda and that team, but also like Crescent and Langston and the
Coil,
others.
we got all of them.
Coil.
Yeah.
So really, whatever might be helpful. A lot of times we're just glue, and we're just gluing different pieces together to make something happen.
Yeah. Okay. So how long has Logan County had an economic development council?
Oh goodness! Now we're gonna get back into my incorporation.
I put her on the spot.
I know.
You can estimate.
I'm gonna estimate.
Yeah.
But I remember our first when we started the loan program, which is our main funding vehicle and our kind of starship program for businesses, was 1993.
Okay.
And so a long
quite a
time.
while.
We actually paid back our first $1 million to the USDA this summer, and that was very exciting. So that was, the founders had borrowed that in 1993, and we just paid it back, and we've revolved that money and loaned it out several times.
So it's federally funded.
The loan program is.
The loan program is. Okay. So do all counties have an EDC?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, so what does it take for someone to start one? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, we met with, was it Perry that we met with some folks that are thinking about starting one? It takes a group of leaders to get together, and they would need to establish a nonprofit, like a 501c6. And of course, the rules that go along with that. You have a board and all
Yes, the
things.
chamber's a C6, so I totally understand that. Yeah.
So it's the same animal essentially, and obviously, the purpose would have to be laid out. Not every economic development council has a loan program like we do. We're a little unusual in that. So when the USDA is talking to another EDC sometimes they're regional, sometimes they're county.
Okay.
And they're thinking about starting a loan program, they'll actually ask us to work with that county and help kind of guide them on how to set that up.
Okay.
But just because you have an economic development council doesn't mean they necessarily, most of them don't have a loan program. So, it would be your community leaders that get together with a purpose in some sort of funding mechanism. And in our case, the loan program is our biggest funder. The interest that we make from that, covers kind of the expenses of having us administer.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but, some of them exist more in other spaces. Some of them are more focused on maybe workforce or other types of economic development and with different funding vehicles.
So chambers are kind of like that. So sometimes there's a county-wide chamber, or the chamber's just for the city, or there's regional chambers, like Tulsa is considered a regional chamber. Okay. So it's kind of similar in that there's really no rules, I guess, as far as that goes. And our organizations do similar things, but then we have totally separate programs too. And so I kind of want to highlight that we're both for, small business and economic growth and things like that, but offer different services, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I feel like you guys really promote the
We're
businesses.
we're cheerleaders. Yeah, that's our job.
And you highlight them and you you generate business and all of those
but then you
things
guys help like new people, new businesses come to the area and get the funding that they need to be here and stay here and thrive,
or even
here.
Existing businesses. But like it's more, we're not in the forefront as much. We're more, usually it's a financing type of a thing. I like to call it like a financing lasagna. Sometimes, because usually the problem folks has is money. That's the most common. It's not the only problem, but it's one that really.
How do I get started? What do I do?
And again,
what help is out there?
And again, I keep mentioning existing businesses because I would say most of who we even help is existing. But they're wanting to grow and expand, but they need a piece of equipment that they might not be able to qualify with a traditional bank loan. So, for example, maybe the bank will loan them X amount. Well, they need X plus Y plus Z. Well, maybe Y is some grant money. Maybe Z is our business, loan fund that I just said. So we try to stitch together pockets of money, kind of your layers of your lasagna, to make something happen that wouldn't have been able to happen otherwise.
Yeah.
So we don't compete with local banks. We're really adamant about that. And of course, most of my board's bankers, so they're not going to let me anyway.
That's right.
But I don't want to. We really try to partner and just help deals kind of happen. And sometimes businesses get into a pickle. Sometimes, this world can be a hard world. Sometimes something just not great happens, throws them off for a bit. Sometimes that funding, we have lots of stories where that funding, bridged that gap, and then they could be, more prosperous. I won't mention those because those aren't as fun, those are personal for them. But it really made a difference to save those jobs and to save that business.
And so I've been with the chamber for 5 years. How long have you been director?
About 3.
Okay, because I remember when you came on, and so it definitely seems like you guys have lots of momentum, and then you're able to add Erica, and then now you have an intern. So this shows that it's growing.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. So that's a good thing. So what is your role, Erica? Like, what's your day-to-day look like, and how you help these businesses?
Well, I came on under a specific grant program for technical assistance, and that was for the Rural Energy for America program. So it was a 50% reimbursement for energy efficiency improvements. And so it was an opportunity under the grant that KelliAn applied for under Logan County EDC was to actually bring on and train for grant writers and to
Okay.
build up the capacity of actually having people who could help the businesses go through that process. Oftentimes, the businesses, especially with small businesses, the day-to-day stuff is keeping them busy enough.
Right.
Because, personal life, small business life, and all that, here's this paperwork and all these other things that I need to do to read through a federal register and understand if I'm even doing the right paperwork, if I'm heading in the right direction, might be a little much. But to have someone who can say, here, fill out here, here, and here, all you have to do is sign this one, that helps them get through that process a little
So
easier.
that's what you do. Okay, awesome.
And then I do a little admin work as well, just to kind of help out with the balance of things overall, too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love it.
Awesome. So did you have a background in that?
Absolutely not.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like all three of us are kind of like baptized by fire. That's what I say.
Absolutely. And
I
love
wasn't a
the
chamber
uncomfortable.
lady before this.
Yeah,
but
I love leaning into the uncomfortable things and expanding for the knowledge base. So I'm actually a realtor by trade.
Oh, okay.
And so I live in a community within Logan County. So I live in Langston.
Yes.
And we moved out in this area about 4 years ago. Of course, just actively getting engaged in my personal community offered me opportunities to get engaged in the greater community. Kelly and I met at something that was going on in the community in Langston, and I kept showing up. I started coming to the luncheons, and I'm excited. So we had a conversation, and she was like, "Would you be interested?" And absolutely,
That's
yes.
awesome.
Yes. So that's how I got in.
Very
And
cool.
I love it, and have been transitioning more and more into this being my full time.
Yeah.
Understanding truly how small businesses are layering the assistance programs, even just watching how you guys are doing over with the chamber, with the promotion. When you guys had the social media guy coming in and giving people the tools. That stuff is so.
We're gonna do another one like that coming up soon in June.
I mean, of course, just. Small businesses need so many things just to help them grow and sustain.
Yeah.
To see that all focused for the rural businesses and how that just can help them continue to grow and sustain. I love it. So,
and like you guys, we don't want anybody to come into not only Guthrie but Logan County and feel alone. Right. We have. So what's awesome is we have such a beautiful partnership, and because you're at one of the most beautiful campuses, in our area, and being at Meridian Tech, we've had the partnership for years and years, with them being in Stillwater, but now having them in Guthrie, and then you all getting to office there, that they have the business incubator. So it's like all of these entities get to come together, to really support, these small businesses, and it's a really beautiful thing. And so I've had the pleasure of getting to know both of you and work with your organization, but also attend your events. And so I want to talk about some of those. I know at the last event, it was a panel, and I feel like, I don't remember what you titled it, but it was like a success story, I feel like. A type of luncheon celebration. Yeah. So can you talk about maybe some of the most recent projects and how those have gone?
Yeah, and feel free and interrupt or whatever if I forget some of them. But one of them, most of you guys have probably been to Guthrie Brewing Company and had some pizza and beer. With Paul Wells, that has been a really fun one. I would say we've worked on that one with other community leaders and other resources for, I'm not sure if it'd be 2 or 3 years now.
I know the brewery's been in the making for quite some time.
I don't know, I'm kind of old now, so things go fast. But
or if you're like me, I'm terrible with time. I will literally be like, a couple months ago, and Heidi will be like, that was a year and a half ago.
That happens to me.
And I'm like,
that happens to me all the time. So that's actually a great example of one that has a financing lasagna. I do want to mention John Thomason from Interbank, because he was a big part of helping with this lasagna. But Paul Wells and Guthrie Brewing Company, to kind of bring this to life, you had different pieces coming together. You had, a bank loan that was actually through a guaranteed program with the USDA, which is just a lovely program, because when businesses are starting, those are riskier for folks to lend certain amounts of money to. And so that actually opens up just a lot more flexibility. Then you had a loan through our organization, through our business loan fund that I mentioned earlier. And then Erica got them the REAP. That was a big one
Yeah.
too.
So it was well north of $150,000 of a reimbursement for energy efficiency improvements that they made to the building. And it included insulation, windows, like there was so many HVAC. And it was going, the building was used for something totally different before. So
Right.
even building it out, what was there would not suffice for what was coming.
Right.
And so all of that qualified for them to be able to put that application in under that grant. They were awarded, and that meant that they got their 50% reimbursement on their project.
That's
for that
awesome.
And then, it's kind of fun for me anyway, how you can leverage things together. And so even our loan from our organization helped be the leverage so that they can, make this investment in, let's say, the HVAC and the things, because you have to put your money up front and then get reimbursed, So when you're spending $320,000, that's a thing. And
That's a thing.
That's the thing.
And so even just the fun of kind of figuring out this labyrinth of how can we, and again, big shout out to John Thomason because he was a big part of this, but that was just a fun project, and working with him, and you guys have kind of seen the results.
Yeah.
And there's certainly others like the chamber, the city, there's certainly others that have supported them and made this project happen from different vantage points, but we kind of got to be in on the finance end.
Yeah.
Another one that I love is Crescent Veterinarian Hospital, Dr. Wayne Sisk, and we were able to purchase through grant money a new cattle chute that has a tilt on it, which basically means the cow can't kick you in the head. And so it's really important.
It's
something important.
As it
Good
turns
thing.
out, for us lay people, this is a thing.
Right. And this was an already established business.
Yes.
Okay,
and
so
they've
this is
been
a
around
story
since the
like
70s.
Right.
Thank you for
yes.
saying
Well,
that.
because brewery brand new, trying to get
new.
open. So this is where funding came in to help get them open.
Right.
And then so the veterinarian and
Yeah.
Crescent already established business, but
Yeah.
still could apply. So
I feel like I have their paper, but I feel like they started in the 70s under another veterinarian that I didn't have the privilege to know, but then Wayne purchased it in the last several years, and he's really been modernizing it and all the things. Well, you guys know there's a critical shortage of veterinarian care in not just our county, but rural America in general, particularly taking care of,
The large
cattle
animals.
and the large animals. And so much so that a lot of our folks have to, take them out of county and all the
which
things.
costs you time and money.
Yes.
Time and
Yeah.
money, and
Yes.
maybe the cow doesn't get that time and money, but now
Right.
they're at a loss, and meanwhile, he was having trouble. He's like the rest of us. You can only take so much of that at a time. But also, new veterinarians coming into the field it turns out they don't want to be kicked in the head. And so
Imagine
they're
that.
like, hey, I'm just
a good point.
gonna work on Fluffy because Fluffy's parents will give me more money, maybe, and also that Fluffy doesn't kick me or whatever. So this was I know people are like, cattle shoot, but it's huge. And now he started his surgeries in most, apparently I didn't know this, but most of cattle issues for ranchers are their feet. And so if you can save their foot, you save the whole cow, which is a revenue issue.
Or the horse or whatever.
Or whatever. And so he started surgeries, the day after Christmas or something. Yeah. He started sending photos. But that opened up something that probably not a lot of people realize unless you're in that industry. But that was a thing that was really important for our county, and even for the effort to bring food production into our local communities. We all saw the value of that, I think, during COVID and years after. And the third one, on demand.
On demand.
Okay. That was the third most recent, and that is Drew and Crescent. And he purchased, this was an existing business too, which he purchased from a gentleman that had it for a long time. I don't remember how long. And it basically automated making these steel parts to the tune that, something that might take 3 days takes, and I don't remember the exact, but let's say it takes an hour now.
Wow.
Without
Yeah.
you having to stand there and turn it and get it just right, it's doing all the things. And what that is allowing him to do, in addition to just be more management of his business, but he had lots of business he was turning down because in the effort of bringing manufacturing back to the United States, again, after COVID, we kind of learned some things that it would be handy to have parts here and all of that. So he has now been able to branch into some of that business. So HVAC parts are a great example. He wasn't able, like, if you're standing there hand making these things, you can't satisfy those quantities of orders.
Right.
But if you have an automated lathe that's cutting and doing all of the things that need to be done, then now he's able to satisfy those orders. And there's other industries too. I think most of his previous work was in the oil fields. But it's allowed him to branch out and in ways that help our country too.
Yeah, that's right here in Logan County.
Right here in Logan County.
So those are a few.
Cool. Yeah.
Just a few of the recent.
Yeah, and I know you have some of those projects listed on your website. What's your website link so we can tell people to go to that?
LoganCountyEDC.org. Oh my gosh!
I know. You're like, wait a second. LoganCountyEDC.org. Chris will get it up here on the screen for us. There you go. And so on the website, people can look at some of the success stories, the upcoming events, which we'll talk about those. Yes. How to join and all of that good stuff. So speaking of, so you have members. It's kind of similar to how a chamber is. You're a membership organization. So what does that look like? Can just anybody join and show support? What do they get for that? Things like that.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Do you want me to start?
Take it away, Erica.
I saw you looking at her. I'll just interrupt.
You both know.
Well, yeah. So there are memberships, and there's individual memberships and business memberships, and so they exist. If you want me to know all of the levels and the exact amounts, don't have that off the top of my head.
I did. Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah, the top one's 2,000. I think the main thing on all the levels except for the individual is that they include at least one luncheon ticket.
Yes.
And we do 4 quarterly luncheons per year. And so that is like kind of the main tangible that we try to get all these resources together 4 times a year. And then, of course, you kind of have the normal, like, yes, your logos here and there. We have a list of that. Yeah. But really, it's like kind of joining an effort that's investing in each other and businesses. So our members really often join because they're like, we just want to see more of what you're doing. And,
that's awesome.
You have to have at least some money to be able to do that, and as you know. And so that was probably the main. And individual, I think, is as low as $125, and I think our top level right now is $2,000, and everything in between.
Awesome. So you welcome anybody that wants to support.
Yes.
Yeah, similar to the chamber. We have individuals that are retired that maybe don't need their business promoted, so they join as a civic investor. And we love that because they're just cheering on the chamber. They can attend our events, things like that. So, so very cool. Good to know. Yeah. And so let's talk about the quarterly luncheon. So you have 4 of those. They're at Meridian. Kind of talk about, we'll talk about the one you have coming up, but also just who all we've had at these luncheons, because some pretty big titles, so to speak, like really valuable leaders.
Yes. Well, the heart of it is we want to bring to Logan County resources that we can uniquely bring. And resources that you may not just run into naturally. Because when I first came here, that's one thing I noticed in my work with an organization in Oklahoma City. You were exposed to certain things more often due to proximity and the types of meetings you were at. And then here, you're not necessarily. And you may not have that access. Or
we're more rural.
Right. And they may not come to visit naturally, or if they do, you might not. All of that. And so our upcoming luncheon has been historically our most popular. And it is with the Federal Reserve Director, Amy Cowley. And some of you guys will be like, hey, wasn't it Chad? And it was, but Chad has retired, and so we miss him. I have heard, I haven't heard Amy speak yet, but I have heard fantastic things about her from folks I know and trust, and they're like, you're in for a treat. What she will do is a similar presentation that Chad would have done, in which she's going to be showing I mean, like very up-to-date information on things like inflation, housing statistics, labor force statistics, all of these things that are going into this pot of all our collective conversation right now, as far as everyone's wondering what's going to happen with the economy. And so she's going to bring a data approach, not necessarily telling you her crystal ball of what's going to happen, but showing, like, here's where we sit. And it's always so informational. They bring handouts and the types of people that love to come to these, I would say the business leaders for sure. This is an area they can get information that they just don't get that data that often. Community leaders, of course, we mentioned the municipalities, usually all of them are there. Other organizations, you know. Now, again, our goal is to try to bring resources to Logan County that are helpful. So you'll also have the chance to meet and hear from Michelle, and help me with her new last name. KelliAn, it's not Campbell. It's all I can think of now. Hawker-Smith. Yes, I always see her old last name. So I'm sorry, Michelle, if you ever see this. So she's going to be here from the Oklahoma Small Business Development Center.
Oh, yeah.
And she's their CEO for the state. And so she's going to talk about, I mean, they have the most amazing team and free consulting.
The SBDC. Yes, they do send out valuable information.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people know about their classes and things like that, but I know businesses that have gone through the consulting, and it is like what you would pay. I mean, and it is paid for. It's paid for by other entities, but I mean, this isn't like, oh, I'll meet with you once and give you a few of my thoughts. This is business consulting, whether it's HR or finance or strategic, whatever you might need, and it's very valuable. So she'll be there to connect with in case your business might be interested in that. And then Jeremy Stoner from Oklahoma Finance Authorities will be there, and he is going to celebrate with us. We had, I don't remember how many, let's say 6 or 7 maybe. Oklahoma, this one I get wrong, Oklahoma Expansion and Innovation Program grant recipients.
OEIP.
Christmas miracle early. So I think we've had like 6 or 7 in our county, which is more than in past because we really try to promote, and that are being awarded. And that's the Oklahoma Department of Commerce in partnership with Oklahoma Finance Authorities.
Awesome.
So your friends and neighbors, you know, you'll get to kind of hear who's getting some of that money and for what projects. And
this is on May 29th.
May 29th. At Meridian at 11:30 in the morning. The cost is $20, except for members, you know, and most of those include a ticket. I do need to know if you're coming, though, guys. Like, this is usually a really packed event, and there's nothing to me more stressful than not knowing if I have enough food. You probably can empathize
Every
with that.
single
I hate it.
month of my job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I want you to come, so, like, don't not come. Oh, and I catered with Ted's this particular time.
Our friends in Edmond,
just for fun. And so it's just going to be a good time, I think.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. And I know we've heard from, you want to just quickly kind of throw out some of the other luncheon speakers that we've had before?
Oh, right.
Just from different entities. It doesn't even have to be their name or title, but just like we've had.
The USDA director has been here a couple of times, and their team, good friends with them.
Local business guy, what's his name, Ben, that came?
I don't remember.
He was a
so sensitive.
he was a business owner. He came and he kind of talked about his story and how he got in business and how he grew and expanded.
Yes, and now that you've asked me his name and we're on video,
that's okay.
No
that's okay.
That's
and
okay.
He came too. So local businesses sometimes that offer.
And then you had the panel last month where we celebrated.
The Oklahoma Department of Oklahoma Department of Agriculture.
I went to that one. Yes,
she was here.
Yeah.
The director of, I'm going to get the department name incorrect, but basically the Oklahoma department that oversees internet connectivity.
Yes, fiber.
Yeah, all
Yes,
of that.
yes,
Broadband.
broadband. I was at that one too.
It's kind of a long.
Yes.
Hopefully he's not going to watch.
So
it.
yeah, it's okay. I put
But
you on the
he
spot.
was
I put you on the spot.
here.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
had some pretty neat speakers come in, like you said, that we may not always have
Right.
access to. And the chamber, we're similar. You know, we actually got host the governor, which has never
Right.
happened
Love
for the
that.
chamber.
Yes.
You know, last month, and then we're hosting the lieutenant governor, and we always annually try to hear from our local, legislators and elected officials, and that way we can, kind of get that one-on-one time with them. It's just a little different than when you watch someone on the
Right.
screen,
Absolutely.
than if you're in the same room with them or can ask questions. So
And
I
I
think
don't know
that's
if
awesome.
you know this, but I actually think about you guys when I'm searching for speakers, and I intentionally try to like stay out of that lane because you're already doing such a fantastic
Yes.
job.
Well,
and
that way
like-
we can
and
all
you're
bring different resources.
and you're
Yeah.
geared for that better. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, so what's a area that's just like not tapped and in a different lane?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love
Like,
that. And
so-
we never have our luncheons at the
Yeah,
same
I always
time
look at the
or the
calendar.
same week. We
Yes.
try to spread it all out. We know it's a lot of luncheons, but it's all really valuable information. So I highly recommend attending if you can't make this one in May, and depending on when you watch the episode, but definitely one of their events for sure, because those are open to everyone.
Yes.
You just got to get a ticket. So
Yeah.
you have enough food.
Yeah.
So, anyway, awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to plug? I mean, I feel like if people have questions, they definitely just need to call you. And you're both so full of information that could be
full of
valuable. Full of all the good things.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, just
Full of
because I
good
keep
things.
getting a question, so I thought I might address it here.
Absolutely.
People are wondering, what about the federal funding
Yes.
and the
Yes.
programs? Because we have a variety of programs. I kind of highlighted big picture. And so everyone's kind of asking, and for us, we don't know. Some things that, as we sit here today, some of the federal funding that impacts our programs is frozen.
Yeah.
Some has been frozen and got unfrozen. Some might be frozen again tomorrow. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. But we are very happy because it's called an intermediary relending program, but that's what the program is that we're able to loan to businesses that we talked about earlier. That is unfrozen.
Okay.
I'm so excited to share that I've had an application dangling out there for a while, and there's a program that I think will be real handy for our community called a Rural Micro Entrepreneurship something or other program.
Lots of programs.
Lots of
And lots
programs.
of words.
And it specializes, it offers loans for more of a micro
Okay.
a business. Think the shops or
Yeah.
something more emerging
Yeah.
that has even a little more challenges than maybe some of the business
Okay.
types that we talked about to get a loan.
Like 10 employees or less.
Yeah.
So-
And so
That's good.
That's actually, we're going through the agreement documents, but we're about to get funded to start, offering those loans, which I think will be really great for our community. As far as the energy efficiency grants Erica was talking about, do you want to speak to?
So currently, the funding is closed at the moment as far as frozen, not accepting any applications at this current time. We're kind of watching it. We've heard that there should be some times it'll open again in the future, but we're not sure which buckets it may come out of or what will be happening. So we're kind of in a waiting hold on that one.
Okay.
Now on the farm bill, is that the same deal?
At the moment, from what I can tell,
Okay.
we just kind of see what's open. The last applications were accepted in March, and right now nothing else is open or pending at least until after June.
Okay. So the best thing to do is just call these ladies if you have questions, because they're watching and listening and trying their best to stay informed so that
Yes.
they can get the information out there. So anyway, okay. Well, thank you for that update. That's definitely been a hot topic as we all just kind of watch and
Absolutely.
wait to see, kind of what happens whenever we switch leadership, and we just have to be patient, collectively. So anyway, well, I thank you both so much. This has been super informative. Every time I have someone on, it's so fun to learn more about what what you're doing. So hopefully you feel a little more educated about the Logan County EDC and what services they can provide. And it costs $0 to just call and talk to them or set up a meeting with them. They're both you can tell, you're very passionate about what you do. And it takes passionate people to get things done, but also people feel, more inclined to work with someone that, truly loves what they do.
Absolutely.
And I know whenever those funds become available and you see these businesses thriving, that's probably nothing makes you more proud. It's how I feel at a ribbon cutting, it's just one of the most favorite parts about what we get to do. So I thank you both so much. And is there anything else you want to add?
No, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for having us,
Absolutely.
Thanks for guiding us through this journey.
Podcasts are fun. Anyway, all right. Well, there you have it, Logan County EDC. Check out their website. Follow them on Facebook. Give them a call. They're located here in Guthrie at the Meridian Technology Center, just right here on Division. So or call the Chamber. We can get you in touch with them. So I think that's it. So thank you both so much. And I'll catch you next time for another episode of Chamber Vibes.
Thanks for listening to the Chamber Vibes podcast from Second Banana Media Studios in beautiful downtown Guthrie, America. Be sure and check out a new episode every other Monday. And until then, remember to choose Guthrie. Thanks for listening.